Hello, let us solve the WASSCE 2022 General Mathematics Core 2 questions. Core 2 refers to the essay type question in general mathematics, and it has two sections. The section A, which comprises of 5 questions that you are to answer all, and section B, which comprises of 8 more questions from where you are to choose any 5. But in this video, we'll be solving the entire 13 questions in the 2022 WASSCE Core 2 General Mathematics questions. That is the entire of the 13 questions. So let's start with question 1. Question 1a says, given that 7 minus 2x, 9, and 5x plus 17 are consecutive terms of a geometric progression with a common ratio that is greater than 0, find x. In a question like this is how you would solve. Solution. Now, recall the question tells us that these terms are consecutive. It did not tell us if this is the first term, second term, and third term. We just know that they follow each other, right? So, just name them. So, we go on to say T1 is 7 minus 2x, and then our T2 is 9, and then T3 equals 5x plus 17. Now, we also know that the common ratio is greater than 0, but we do not know what the common ratio is. But a general formula we use when working with GP is that R equals T2 over T1, which in turn equals T3 over T2. That is, if you have a T4 too, you can then say T4 over T3 and on like that. So since we don't have R, we can then use this part to solve the question. That is, T2 over T1 equals T3 over T2. So let's do that. Our T2 is 9 over T1, which is 7 minus 2x, equals T3, which is 5x plus 17 over T2, which is still 9. Now from here we cross multiply. 9 multiplied by 9 will give us 81 equals, now we multiply these two, so we have 7 minus 2x multiplied by 5x plus 17. Now let's expand that here. So we would have 81 equals, now 7 times 5x, that is 35x. 7 times 17, that would give us 119. Now plus sign, so plus 119. Now minus 2x times 5x would give us minus 10x squared. Then minus 2x multiplied by plus 17. So that's basically 17 times 2, right? Remember the minus sign, so that will give us minus 34, right? And then the x. So now what we have to do is just collect like terms. Now what I like to do is to bring everything to one side and equate it to 0. So since this is x squared, when I bring this here, we would have 10x squared. The minus sign becomes positive as it crosses the equality sign, right? And then we have 34x coming here, minus 34 becoming plus 34x. Plus 35, when it comes here, becomes minus 35x, right? Here we already have plus 81. And then when plus 119 comes, it becomes minus 119, and all equals 0. So here we then have 10x squared minus x, because 34 minus 35 is minus 1. Now when we say 81 minus 119, what we will have is minus 38. And all of this equals 0. Now from here we know that this is a quadratic where A is 10, B is minus 1, and then C is minus 38, right? So since we already have this, let's then solve for x using the quadratic equation formula. That is, x becomes negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now let's interpret this. Minus b. b is minus 1. So minus times minus 1, we have plus 1. Plus or minus square root of b squared. Minus 1 in bracket squared will give us 1. Then minus 4ac. Now 4 multiplied by a, which is 10, is 40. And then 40 multiplied by c, which is minus 38. So we have 40 multiplied by minus 38 to give us minus 1520. All over 2a, that is 2 multiplied by a, which is 10, and we have 20. Therefore, x equals 1 plus or minus square root of, now minus times minus gives us plus, and 1 plus this will give us 1521 all over 20. So from here we can then say 1 plus or minus, now the square root of 1521 is 39. So over 2. Now we come to this statement. Remember, r is greater than 0. So that is, we will not work for the part that will give us a negative answer. So we will only solve for when it is plus. We will not solve for minus. Therefore, x equals 1 plus 39 over 2, which is 40 over 2. Therefore, x is 20. Sorry, this is 20, so x is 2. X is 2. So now we've solved for the value of x in question 1a. Now let's solve 1b. 1b says 2 positive numbers are in the ratio 3 to 4, and the sum of thrice the first number and twice the second number is 68. Find the smaller number. So we say let the numbers be x and y. Therefore, x over y should give us, according to the ratio we have, 3 over 4. And this implies that x equals 3 over 4 of y. Now let's solve for x. To solve for x, what we need to do is basically, we look at the next statement. The sum of thrice the first number and twice the second. Thrice the first. Now, thrice the first means we have 3x plus twice the second, which is 2y, is going to give us 68. Right? And now, we already have a value for x. Right? So, since the question says we should solve for the smaller number, right? Now, the question itself does not tell us which one is smaller, but from the ratio here, we can see that x is the smaller number while y is the larger number. So in that case, we have to solve for x. So what do we do to solve for x? We can then substitute for y in terms of x. Or you can also solve for y first and then get the value of x, whichever one you find better. But in this case, to make it simpler, I will just substitute for x into this question. So let's solve it that way. So here we then have 3x plus 2y equals 68, which implies that, now in place of x here, we would have 3 into brackets 3y over 4 plus 2y equals 68. Now when we expand this, we should have 9y over 4 plus 2y equals 68. And when you multiply through by 4, we're going to have 9y plus, now 4 times 2, that is 8. So we have 8y equals, now what is 68 multiplied by 4? That will give us 272. And what this means is that when we add this, we have 17y to be 272, which implies that y equals 272 divided by 17. And when we divide that by 17, we get the value of y as 16. Now let's solve for x. So that is x equals 3 over 4 multiplied by 16. And 4 here 1, 4 here 4. So 3 times 4 would give us 12. Therefore, x equals 12. And that's the solution to question 1. Now let us solve question 2, which states that given that y equals p r over m minus p square r, so let's say this is over 1, raised to the power of minus 3 over 2. A. Make r the subject, and then B. Find the value of r when y equals minus 8, m equals 1, and p equals 3. So let's start. First thing we want to do here is to get rid of this power here. Since r is in this bracket, we want to ensure that we do not have any power here, so that way we can easily make r the subject. So here, when we take this power to this side, we should then have it as y raised to the power of, now it flips, so you would have minus 2 over 3, like this. And this equals, then we have this as pr over m minus p squared r, so let's say over 1. Now, this itself is a negative index, so to make it positive index, it then becomes 1 over y raised to the power of 2 over 3. And this equals, now LCM here is m. So when we take this, m here is 1. 1 times this, we have pr minus 1 here is m times this, you then have p squared mr. Now from here, we can easily take m to this side. Recall that we are trying to make r the subject of this formula, right? So we can take m here. So when we take m to this point, we would have it as m over y raised to the power of 2 over 3 equals, now what we have left is pr minus p squared m and r. And from this here, we can see that they both have p in common as well as they have r in common. But since it is r we are trying to make the subject, I will then take r out. So since they have r in common, I'll be left with p minus p squared m. Now from here, let's make r the subject. So that is, this p minus p squared m will then come down here when we cross multiply. So that is, r becomes, now what we have here initially is m all over, what we have here is what? Y raised to the power of 2 over 3. And then what we have here is p squared, sorry, p, just p, minus p squared m. Good. So you can then go on to collect p out, or you just leave it like this. But at this point, we have made r the subject of the equation. Now the second part. Find the value of r when y is minus 8, m is 2, is 1, and then p is 3. So since we have the values of these letters here, let's find r. That implies that r equals, now m. The value of m is 1, so r equals 1 all over y. Now y is minus 8, in bracket, power of 2 over 3, right? And then open bracket, p is 3 minus p squared, 3 squared, that is 9, and then m, 1. So let's resolve this. R therefore becomes 1 over, now when we take the cube root of negative 8, we would get minus 2, so squared. Then here we have 3 minus 9. So r here becomes 1 over, now minus 2 squared, that will give us 4. And 3 minus 9 would give us minus 6. Therefore, r equals 1 over minus 24, or basically minus 1 over 24. And that's the value of r. And with this, we have solved question 2. Let us now solve question 3, which states A chord subtends an angle of 72 degrees at the center of a circle of radius 24.5 meters. Calculate the perimeter of the minor segment. Take pi to equals 22/7. So let's visualize this by drawing. So recall that this is not drawn to scale. So let's say this is our circle, right? And let's give this the center of the circle. Now, a chord subtends to this center. So if this is our chord, straight line here, and then we join these points like this. What we should have, if we have a straight line from here to the edge here, is the radius. So the radius is 24.5 meters, just as we have another straight line here to be 24.5 meters. Now we are told that this angle that subtends here is 72 degrees, right? So we are then asked to calculate the perimeter of the minor segment. So if this is O, let's call this A and this B. So that is, we are looking at the entirety of this all the way down here, the length of all of this. So we already know that this length is 22.57 and this is 22.57, right? So what is left is this length here, the minor arc, right? So since we are asked to find the perimeter of the minor segment in this case refers to this part here. This part here is the minor segment. Remember that a segment consists of a chord and an arc. So we are looking for the perimeter here. So what we need is this length here, this length of chord, and then the length of this arc, right? So that is, our answer becomes length of chord AB plus length of minor arc. Now, what can we do to get the length of this chord? So let's start with the length of chord. Now, to get the length of chord, let me just draw out that part, okay? So where this is A, B, and O, right? This is 24.5, just as this is 24.5. So if I should draw a line like this to bisect this chord here at point M, right? You will see that what will happen to this angle here is that it divides into two. Meaning what we are going to be having here would then be 36 degrees, just as what is here would be 36 degrees. And we also know that this length becomes halved, right? So to get the full length here, what I need to do is to find one of these and then multiply it by 2. So how can I get AM, right? Now look at this, becomes my hypotenuse because this is a right angle. This is my hypotenuse. This is the opposite. So what do we use there? Sine, right? So that is AM becomes, now remember that sine 36 is supposed to be opposite over this. So then when we switch it, it then becomes 24.5 multiplied by sine 36 degrees. So to get AB, it is twice of this. That is length of chord AB becomes 2 times 24.5 times sine 36 degrees. So now let's compute this. 2 multiplied by 24.5, and then we multiply that by sine 36. That would give us 28.8 in meters. Now let's find the length of minor arc, right? This arc here. Now that is given by theta over 360 multiplied by 2 pi r, right? Because 2 pi r is the entire length of the circumference of this circle. So since we are just looking at this arc here, it will be this angle divided by 360 multiplied by the entire circumference of the circle. So when we apply that, that would be 72 degrees over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 times 22 over 7 multiplied by r, which is 24.5 meters. Now what does this give us? So 72 times 2 times 22 times 24.5, all divided by 360 multiplied by 7. And when we compute that, we get 30.8 in meters. Now recall that the length of the perimeter of the minor segment is then the length of chord AB plus length of minor arc. So perimeter of minor segment equals the sum of these two. So we have 28.8 meters plus 30.8 meters. And when we add this together, we're going to have 59.6 meters. And with that, we have solved question 3. Now let us solve question 4. Question 4 says, in the diagram, BCDE is a circle with center A, and angle BCD is 2x plus 40. Then angle BAD, this angle here, is 5x minus 35. Angle BED, that is this angle here, is 2y plus 10 degrees. And then angle ADC, so that is this angle here. It does not touch this angle at all. It's just this part. Yeah, ADC. That is 40 degrees. So given this detail, we are to find the value of x and y, and then the size of angle ABC. Now ABC refers to this angle here. This angle here. So we're going to look for the size of this angle as well. So let's solve. Now, in order to find the value of x and y, we have to look at this diagram and look at theorems that would help us solve it. Okay? Now, if I had known the size of this angle, it's easy to say sum of angle in a quadrilateral is 360. But since I don't, I have to look for other theorems. So another theorem that we know is that opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. That is, this angle here, which is BED plus BCD, should be 180. So BCD plus BED equals 180. Opposite angles of cyclic quadrilateral. So let me just shorten this as quad. Okay? So since we know this, we can state that as one of our equations. So what's the size of BCD? Now BCD is given as 2x plus 40. Then we add that to BED. Now BED is 2y plus 10. And this equals 180. Right? So from here we can say 2x plus 2y equals 180. Now 40 plus 10 is 50. So when it comes here, it becomes minus 50. So that is, we have 2x plus 2y to equal 130. Now let's divide through by 2. So this divided by 2 will give us x, plus this divided by 2 will give us y. And this equals 130 divided by 2, and that is 65. So let's call this equation 1. And then with this, we can then go on to find another theorem that would help us. Now, we know that the angle that subtends to the circumference here is twice, that is twice of this, should give us this angle here, right? So what I'm saying is this, that BAD, angle BAD should equal twice of BED. This is angle at circumference, right? So applying this, BAD is 5x minus 35, and this equals twice of BED, which is 2y plus 10. So let's open this bracket. So we would have 5x minus 35 equals 4y plus 20, because 2 times 10, that gives us 20. So we should have 5x now minus 4y to equal 20. Now when 35 comes, it becomes plus, right? So we have 5x minus 4y equals 55. So we call this equation 2. So all we need to do is solve them simultaneously. So let's put the two equations side by side. So we have x plus y equals 65 as equation 1. And then 5x minus 4y equals 55. This is our equation 2. So to solve for x, we have to eliminate y. So in order to eliminate y, what do? We multiply equation 1 by 4 and multiply equation 2 by 1, which is the coefficient of y here. So 4 times x, that is 4x plus 4y equals, now what is 4 multiplied by 65? That will give us 260, right? This is now equation 3. Now, 1 multiplied by this still remains 5x minus 4y equals 55. So this is equation 4. Now we add them together to eliminate y. So when we add, this would give us 9x equals, now let's add this other part, 315. Therefore, x is 315 divided by 9, and that gives us 35 degrees. So we can then work this in to get the value of y. So to get for y, what do? I can just pick any of the equations. So let me pick this. So that is y should equal 65 now minus x, which is 35. And this will give us 30 degrees. So now we have the value of x and y. So the A part is done. So let's solve B part, which is this angle here. So to solve for this part, I just need to sum all these angles here and equate it to 360. And this angle here is ABC. So that is angle ABC plus 5x minus 35 plus 40 plus 2x plus 40. All of this should equal 360 degrees. And this is sum of angles in a quadrilateral. Now let's solve this. We can then say our angle ABC here plus, now let's solve what we have here. So 5x, x is 35. So 5 multiplied by 35 would give us 175, and minus 35 from that, and we have 140 plus 40 plus now 2x, that is 2 times 35, that is 70 plus 40, and we have 110, all equals 360 degrees. So that is angle ABC plus, now what do we get here when we add everything together? So 140 plus 40 plus 110 should give us 290 equals 360 degrees. That is angle ABC is then 360 degrees minus 290 degrees, right? And when we subtract that, we get it as 70 degrees. And with that, we have solved question 4. Let us solve question 5, which is the final question in section A of the 2022 WASSCE Mathematics Core 2 question. Now, question 5 asks A and B. A says, given that m is tan 30 and n equals tan 45, simplify without using calculator m minus n over m multiplied by n. So in order to solve this, we have to know the natural solutions for each of these different, that is, you have to know the normal angles, that is for 0, for 30, for 45, 60, and then 90. Now, there's an easy chart that you can use for that, but let's work with what we have here. To simplify, m minus n over mn. This means that we have m, which is tan 30 degrees, minus n, which is tan 45 degrees, all divided by m, that is tan 30 degrees multiplied by tan 45 degrees. Now, note that tan 30 degrees would give you sod 3 over 3. And tan 45 degrees equals 1. So we're going to use this to then simplify. So what is tan 30? Sod 3 over 3 minus 1. So this can be written as 1 over 1. All divided now by tan this again, which is sod 3 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 1. Now, what does this mean? It means that we're going to have at the numerator the LCM being 3. Now, 3 and 3, that's 1. 1 times sod 3, we have sod 3 minus 1 and 3, that's 3. 3 times 1, and we have 3 here. All over. Now, when we multiply here, we would have sod 3 divided by 3. Now, let's go on here. Remember, this division can be changed to multiplication, right? So that will give us root 3 minus 3 all over 3 multiplied by, and then we flip this, so which would be 3 over root 3. Now, 3 cancels 3, right? So what we have left here is then root 3 minus 3 over root 3. Now, in mathematics, you do not leave your answer such that the denominator has a sod form. So what we do in order to eliminate the sod in the denominator is to multiply by the conjugate sod. So when we multiply this by the conjugate sod, we should have sod 3 minus 3 multiplied by sod 3 all over sod 3 multiplied by sod 3. This way we would eliminate this sod at the denominator. So what we'll have here will be sod 3 times sod 3, which will give us 3, minus 3 times sod 3, which is 3 sod 3, all divided by, now sod 3 times sod 3 will give us 3. Now, here we see that 3 is in common, so if we call out 3, we'll be left with 1 minus sod 3, all divided by 3. So 3 here 1, 3 here 1. Our final answer is 1 minus sod 3, which is the format in which we are told to leave our answer. So we've gotten our answer as 1 minus sod 3. Now let's solve 5b. To solve 5b, we are given some information that there are 20 women in a bus. So let's do this using our set theory. So if this is our bus, and here our universal set is 20, we are then told that 15 of them wear glasses and 10 of them wear wristwatches. Now, we know that of these 15, some of them will be wearing wristwatch. And of these 10 that wear wristwatch, some of them will be wearing glasses. So in order to solve this, we then draw two circles that will go into each other like this, showing where we have people who wear both glass and wristwatch. So those that wear glass and wristwatch, let's call that X. Okay, so now we can then say to get those that wear only glasses, if this is glass and this is wristwatch, right? For those that wear glass only, that will be 15 minus X. So that is here we have 15 minus X. And for those that wear wristwatch only will be 10 minus X. And the sum of everything here should give us 20. Okay, so using that we can get the value of X. So we say 15 minus X plus 10 minus X equals 20. Easy here, we see minus X plus X. So this will give us 25 minus X equals 20, which implies that X equals 25 minus 20, which is 5. That tells us that 5 women are wearing both glasses and wristwatch. Okay, so but the question tells us that if one of them is now picked at random, what is the probability that she wears both glasses and wristwatch? So the probability in this case of both wrist watch and glasses. Now another way to write this is to say probability of G intersect W. Okay, and this will then be, now the number of women that are wearing both, which is 5, over the total number of women in the bus, which is 20. And this would give us 5 and 5, 1. 5 and 20, 4. So we have 1 over 4 as our answer. And with this, we have solved the section A of the 2022 Core 2 questions in mathematics. We'll then be moving to the section B. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.